I'm John Evans. Welcome to another episode of One on One. Emmy award-winning fashion designer, TV host, and best-selling author Carson Kressley is coming to Wilmington. Many people remember him from the show Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, RuPaul's Drag Race, Celebrity Big Brother. Well, he's going to be in town October 7th to host a luncheon to support the Welcome Home Angel organization. That's the group that renovates bedrooms and homes of local children who may have a chronic illness or another condition. They help to make the child's lives and their families' lives better. And Carson Kressley taking the time to join us today. Carson, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Of course. I've been to Wilmington a couple times for work and some vacations, so I'm so excited to be back. And Welcome Home Angel is such a great organization, like you said, providing nicer living spaces for kids who are, recovering from an illness or going through a life challenging experience. Having a nice place to live, one that functions and is clean and efficient, can really change their outcome significantly.
How did you get involved with Welcome Home Angel, Carson?
I dabble in a little bit of interior design, and I had a show on Bravo called Get a Room, and it's one of my, I guess it's a hobby of mine. I like to decorate. I don't have any clients yet.
Not yet.
And a fellow interior designer who I met going to all of the home shows, her name is Meg Caswell, and she's in Chicago and also in Wilmington, and she founded Welcome Home Angel and is such a big supporter of it. And she told me about the brunch a couple years ago, and we couldn't make the dates work. And then this year, finally, the scheduling gods aligned, and I will be in Wilmington on October 7th. There's a fantastic brunch and auction, and I think we might even do like a special, like maybe a cruise on the is it the Cape Fear River? I don't know. Am I right?
Cape Fear River Intercoastal Waterway. Yeah, there's a lot of places you can put a boat in around here.
Yeah, so we're going to do some fun things to raise some money, have a great time, and of course, help support these kids that really need our help.
What is it about Welcome Home Angel? Because I imagine you get a lot of requests to help organizations, but what is it about Welcome Home Angel that really drew you to want to help?
Well, Meg Caswell is a great friend, and she's also relentless. So she's good. I want to do every charity thing I can. I think children's charities are the most important. I mean, they're just, oftentimes the most at risk because, they don't have sometimes the support and the wherewithal that some of us adults do. So whether it's LGBTQ youth charities, I work a lot with youth homelessness. I wanted to support Meg, and I wanted to support these kids. And I know firsthand how impactful your living space can be. And I've done so many makeover shows where, we change a kitchen or we make a bathroom accessible or we redo somebody's bedroom and make it their own. And it changes their life for the better. So I knew we could make a big impact with this charity.
When you think about it, 20 years ago, you were working for Ralph Lauren, doing very well, and then you auditioned for this TV show. And it literally changed the trajectory of your life. You've gone on to do a lot since then, but do you ever sit back and say, boy, if I hadn't taken that chance, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah, I think about that all the time. And actually, just this June for Pride Month, the Ralph Lauren Corporation asked me to come back and speak to their employees all over the world. Greensboro, North Carolina is one of them. And we did a live presentation that was Zoomed all over. And it was great. And I loved being back. And I thought, wow, I might have still been here, which would have been fine. It just would have been very, very different. But I tell people all the time, like, a calculated risk is a great thing. And I was young and I didn't have a lot of responsibilities. And I had a fantastic support system. And to the credit of the people at Ralph Lauren, my boss said, oh, you should try doing this TV show. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just hire you back. And I was like, what? But that was the kind of supportive boss that I was so lucky to have.
How did you How did you
do
learn
it.
about the audition? Did somebody just tap you on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I heard about this. I
You know,
think it's perfect for you"?
it was very much serendipity. I did not see any kind of official like listing. I wasn't looking. I was just like, this space is for radio, not television. And but somebody at work said, I think I heard this ad on the way into work on a cab radio, and you should try out. And to this day, we've never found out. Like they were like, we've never done radio advertisements, so I don't. It was just meant to be. And I called the producers, and they said, we're going to be in New York for one day. You should come meet us. I did, and I had a great interview. And then I had to subsequently go meet with them like 10 more times to get the rest of the cast fleshed out. And I was constantly at work being like, I have to go to the dentist and the orthodontist. And finally they're like, what's going on? But it all worked out.
When you were doing the show, did you all have an idea of how important it was going to be for the LGBTQ community? Or were you just five guys having fun and living life with this new opportunity?
Yeah, we had no idea that it would be, so impactful. Honestly, I just wanted to get rid of mullets and pleated khakis. And we were just, out there doing our jobs, being authentic, I think is really important. And we were having a great time. And the wonderful byproduct of that is that families would watch together and young people would say, oh, I feel comfortable coming out to my family because we watched the show together and we had a dialogue about the coming out process or whatever. It just made young people's lives a little bit easier because maybe for the first time they saw someone like them being represented on the screen. And I'm so lucky I had that opportunity with Drag Race. Right now, I'm so lucky I had that opportunity with Queer Eye 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's just, they've both been such huge blessings for me.
Was there one turning point where you realized, hey, this is getting traction and this is going to be something I can do turned out to be 5 seasons for you?
Right. None of us on that original Queer Eye show had ever done television, and we had no frame of reference of like what success is and how it's supposed to work. But, after the first episode aired, the next week we were like going to do the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and we're going to be on Ellen. And I was like, okay, I think this is what's supposed to happen. I had no idea. Right. That never happens, that, to be so lucky right out of the gate. And, but it was a great show, a great format. There's a new version of it on Netflix that's equally successful, that's also winning Emmys. So I think all of us that did the show are so excited to have been part of that franchise.
What's it been like then, over 20 years for you, to watch the evolution of the LGBTQ community on mainstream media, on so many of these other streaming opportunities? Because back when it started, maybe there were 2 or 3
right.
Gay people in lead roles at the time.
Right.
But now it's much more mainstream. You had something to do with that, but it must be pretty fulfilling to watch that evolution in the past 2 decades.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels great to be a part of that. It feels great as a member of the LGBT community to see our community being embraced, understood, represented. That's all really, really important, because if you don't see yourself on television, you think, well, there's no place for me. I'm not important. I don't matter. And also, if people don't get to meet you through that medium, sometimes, you've never met an LGBTQ person, but then you see them on TV and you say, well, they're not that much different than I am. And why shouldn't they be able to get married or adopt, or all those equalities that are so important become more understandable, because you actually now know somebody that you've met through television. Right. If you weren't able to meet them in real life. So it is important. We still have a long way to go. There's, all over the country, there are different legislative initiatives to ban books and limit equal rights. So we have to keep moving forward, but we've made such great strides. And I know that we have so many allies out there that we will continue to do so.
Did it make you more confident moving forward? Again, you were doing well with Ralph Lauren at the time.
Right.
But if you were still with Ralph Lauren, maybe you wouldn't have been able to write a best-selling book or launch your own clothing line or do
Right.
all these other different shows. So did it not only boost the LGBT community, but did it also boost Carson to say, look, I succeeded here. I'm going to dip my toe into a clothing line, a book, or some of these other
Right.
things?
Yeah, I mean, I did. You definitely, feel some validation, especially, I'll tell this story that, I would go to my hometown in Allentown, which and I would go to the Lehigh Valley Mall, and sometimes I'd hear like, oh, there's that queer guy. And then after the show and kind of reclaiming that word and turning it into a positive, I would go back to the same Lehigh Valley Mall and they'd be like, there's that queer guy. And I was like, what? So that's very, very gratifying and definitely a confidence booster. And we all have that inside, but we just sometimes need to hear it for that validation. And I've always been a person, I call it the ignorance is bliss theory. I didn't know I couldn't be on TV. So I thought, well, why not? And I didn't know I couldn't, I wasn't supposed to be able to like design clothes or write best-selling books, but I just take the plunge and it's worked out, just like saying yes to Queer Eye and quitting my great job at Ralph Lauren was probably seemed a little imprudent, but it worked out.
Take us behind the scenes, Carson. You've done so many of these reality TV shows. Celebrity Big Brother. You've been a judge on RuPaul's show. You had your own little reality show. Are these really reality? Take us behind the scenes. Peel the curtain back a little bit.
The ones that I work on tend to be very, very real. And I think that's why they do well, because authenticity is so important. If you're selling a product as a reality show, people want to see things that are real, and the audience is very sophisticated and they can tell when things are overproduced and fake. So the shows that I work on, I don't want them to be produced too much. I want it to be reality. So that's my preference. There are many shows. I think most shows, they have an outline of kind of like, here's the storyline, here's what we're trying to tell the viewer, help us get there. And it's not scripted, but you definitely have an arc that you follow. Most of the shows that I work on are either makeover shows or competition shows. The participants have that storyline that producers will help flesh out through the right questions and the right interviews. But the stuff that I do is pretty much, off the cuff and on the fly. And that's how I like it.
Most people know your success on TV and in the fashion world, but they may not know that you are a world champion equestrian. Grew up on a farm in Pennsylvania, and is that where you developed your love not only just for horses, but for showing horses?
Yeah, my grandparents had a pony farm in the 50s and 60s and had hundreds of ponies that they sold all over the world. They had auctions on the farm, and it was really fun. And we always had, thanks to them, we always had ponies growing up. But by the time I was like 13, I was like, okay, this is a little lame. I need a horse. But they didn't get me one. I had some money saved up, so I bought my own. And I'd been competing ever since I was probably like 12 or 13. And it took me so many places because I was good. I got to be on the World Cup team, and we were in South Africa in the 90s. And I also attribute it to why I was able to do television, because I was able to kind of talk to anybody because I met so many different types of people through the horse business. And it's something I love. We still have a horse farm not far from the original location. And my sister is there. My niece is a horse trainer. So it's a great family hobby that has connected us through the generations.
And you're starting in that, and one of your first championships happened before Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. So this is not like, hey, let's get Carson in here. You were doing that kind of work before TV started.
Yeah, I grew up doing this ever since I was a kid and a teenager, and then even through college. And even when I first moved to New York, which is, it's so expensive to live in New York City, and people are like, "Wait, you have a horse?" And I was like, "Well, I have a good family setup, so I can manage it." But yeah, it's something I've always done. In the horse show world and the competitive equestrian world, they don't care about celebrity. I've known them for forever, and it's a great place to go back. It always feels like coming home when I compete at a horse show.
Is your farm in Pennsylvania, is that a place where Carson can kind of get away? Because I imagine with everything you do, there are some times where you just got to, oh, I need a weekend. I need to get away from people. Is that your getaway place?
Yeah, I have lived in New York City for about 30 years, and anybody who's lived here that long definitely needs an escape place. So I bought a farm next to my sister's farm in PA about 6 years ago, and it's a great escape. And I invite friends from the city, and they think it's so beautiful. And I can cook and have a garden and see my horses and just putter around, watering my plants like an old lady. So I love it. It's a great escape.
Yeah, I tell people I've been blessed to live and work in two of the most beautiful places in the world, the Pocono Mountains and the coast of North Carolina.
I agree.
This may be an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. You've had so much success. What are the oh wow moments that you remember? Are there big oh wow moments that even somebody like Carson, who's traveled around the world, who's worked with stars on a lot of different platforms, what are your oh wow moments that people can say, oh, that's kind of cool?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, being a celebrity and being on like a very popular show like Queer Eye provided so many amazing opportunities. I got to present an award at the Country Music Awards with Dolly Parton. I never imagined I would do that. I was such a huge Dolly fan. So that was like a I can't believe I'm here moment. I got to do the Oprah show 17 times, I think. So like becoming friends with Oprah and like doing tequila shot with Oprah Winfrey, that's like, okay, I can't believe this is happening. Or going to the White House. There's been so many. And in 2003, when the show first came out, we didn't have, Instagram and Twitter and all these things. I wish we did, because there are so many more memories that I would have, because it was such a whirlwind. You forget some of the amazing things, but I've got to do a lot of really great things.
Do the emails from people you help mean more now than maybe 20 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. I think you get a sense of perspective after you've been doing this for a long time. And in the moment, everything seems so frantic. So now I just had one somewhere in a book, and it was like a note. I was on American Airlines, and at the end, they handed me a note, and they're like, "It is an honor to have you on the flight. You're an icon." And it had all the crew's signatures, and they loved Drag Race. And that was really sweet. And I have it as my bookmark somewhere. But yeah, it's great stuff.
Who's someone you haven't worked with yet that you want to?
I know, like on Drag Race, we get to have guest judges, and they usually sit right next to me all day. And it's a longer process than you think. You get to know them. So I would love to rejoin Dolly on the RuPaul Drag Race judges dais. Maybe Cher, who I've met, and I haven't worked with her, but I interviewed her, and she was incredible. So maybe Dolly or Cher would be my two to actually work with.
Well, once again, October 7th, Carson Kressley will be in Wilmington, emceeing the 15th anniversary fundraiser for Welcome Home Angel. We have all the ticket information inside this story on our website. If you want to attend and get the chance to meet the one and only Carson Kressley. Carson, congratulations on all of your success. We appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedule today to join us for the One-on-One podcast, and we look forward to having you in southeastern North Carolina on October 7th.
I'm so excited to be back. I can't wait. Thank you so much.
Now, before we go, I'd like to ask you a favor. Please download and subscribe to the One-on-One with John Evans podcast on whatever app you use to listen to your favorite shows. And if you would be so kind, please leave us a rating or a review. We'd love to hear what you think of our interviews, and the more feedback we get from friends like you, the higher we'll be listed on the podcast apps, and the better chance we'll have of bringing in even more new listeners. I'm John Evans. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of One on One.